Welcome to our weekly discussion of all things current in California politics. I'm Walt Gray, this week joined by reporter Emily Hoeven, political columnist with the San Francisco Chronicle. Emily, we have a state budget. Is it 100% done? What's the status of this?
It's a lot closer to being done than it was before. You know, the governor and state lawmakers were tussling over a number of various things in the budget. Were trying to figure out ways to close a $31.5 billion deficit. And they reached agreement this week on a variety of contentious issues, including some climate, some childcare payment rates. But one of the biggest hangups that was delaying them from reaching this deal for so long was the governor's infrastructure package. And he introduced this rather at the last minute, and it included a variety of provisions that would have limited the environmental review process for certain infrastructure projects. And one of the ones that they actually took out of the deal and are continuing to work on because it's so controversial is the governor's proposal to build a single delta tunnel that would channel water from the Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta south for about 750,000 households and millions of acres of farmland. And he wanted to speed up the environmental review. A lot of lawmakers, a lot of environmentalists were angry about that. And so they finally decided to take it out, and they're still kind of figuring out what that's going to look like.
All right, let's talk about oil prices, gas prices in California, the state gas tax going up 3 cents on Saturday. But it's now become law, right, that we're able to regulate or keep an eye on what oil companies are charging us?
This week, the new proposal also that the governor introduced that would increase the state's watchdog capacity over oil companies, which he wanted to do after there was a massive spike in oil prices last year, went into effect. And so now there is a new state watchdog that has been formed within the state agencies, and it will be able to have a little bit more information about how oil refineries are making profits, what the size of those profits are, when they're going to be taking some of their facilities offline for maintenance to hopefully be able to avoid or to mitigate price spikes. They're going to be looking at daily reports with production and profit and things like that. And so we'll see if it makes a difference because, as you noted, the gas tax just went up again. Mm-hmm. And so I think that, that is something that lawmakers have been very reluctant to change, that would have resulted most likely in immediate relief at the pump for Californians.
You have a column in the Chronicle talking about the state's foster care system. Can they do better? What's the latest on that?
I think the definite consensus is that they can do better. And as you know, we've been talking about this, over the past couple of months. At the Chronicle, I've been doing a series of reports on how the state has basically been dismantling various systems that it sees as, having a lot of severe problems, whether that was the state mental hospital system, the state prison system, and also the state's foster care system. And so the state for many years had a system of group homes, they were called, where kids that had severe needs and had nowhere else to go ended up staying. And there was a lot of rampant abuse and neglect and violence at these facilities. So in 2015, the state began, getting rid of those and requiring new facilities with stricter requirements to go into place. The problem is, when all is said and done, is that many of the kids with the most severe needs still don't have anywhere to go. And in many cases, they've been housed in unlicensed facilities like detention centers and office buildings and things of that nature. And there's a lot of alarm from lawmakers. And the general point of the piece is that, it's fine for the state to want to dismantle systems that have issues, but it can't do that unless it replaces it with something that's improved and better. And when it just reduces capacity and there's nothing to replace it, oftentimes ends up worsening the very problem it wants to solve.
Yeah, how true. And so many things. Emily Hoeven, thank you. If you'd like to reach out to Emily, you can do so at emily.hoeven@sfchronicle.com.